This is things you might have heard from the Conversation Project, and I am John J. Cleveland Payne, and I'm broadcasting pretty much on all my channels live today. So this will be here, if you're with me, up at 5:30 a.m. Central Time on 6/18/2025, or if you're watching this on a replay that popped up in your feed later on. Thank you so much for taking some time with this. I am doing this in sort of a massive action because I have a very big ask for you today. Now, this is something I produce on my Facebook page, on my YouTube feed, and for my on my X feed that is dedicated to the Conversation Project, where I do news stories 5 days a week and stuff like this, plus some clips and things going on, and weekend stuff as well. Like I said, big ass coming. So if you've ever seen me do anything like this, just stick around or go to the end. You'll see the longer sort of the weepy ask at the end of the thing. So what we do here is we are a tertiary source of news. We don't plan to be and really should not be your plain source of news, your first line of news. But there are some stories that will get missed out in a way, as right now, literally, as I'm looking over my shoulder, I have a monitor that has CNN, and all they're talking about is Iran and Israel, which is kind of the big thing right now. But there are other stories that get out there that get missed, get stuck all day long because I'm obsessed with it. I'll look at aggregators and websites, post them all day long, and give you a chance to help us vote these stories up. So 8 stories today for this version, the Wednesday version of it, that are headlines that you vetted as conversational. They cover information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. Now, we're going to talk about the Israel-Iran conflict slightly because it's all over the place everywhere, but also updates on R. Kelly and Joey Chestnut to make things sort of lively and fun, plus a lot of other more serious things in between. We'll explain the full vetting process, how you actually help us vote the processes up, vote the stories up at the end of the headlines, and you literally pick the stories you go today. And we'll run through that going forward. But up front, we have a website. This is a conversationproject.com. That's where we have our home. For us, we have back catalog of articles, back catalog of videos, and ways you can help us out in our contribution, your contribution to help us out, keep this thing going, because I want to keep this thing going. Our email address, if you want to talk to me about anything conversational or anything in conversation, whether it's news or not, the conversation inbox at gmail.com. And we also have a sponsor for these videos. This video is sponsored, Spotlight by Ground News. You can go to our sponsors page at our website, but if you go to this is the conversationproject.com/ground news, if you are a news nerd like I am and want to get the full stories, literally what everyone is talking about, Ground News will take care of you. You get 40% off their plans, and we get a small commission for bringing you in the door. As I said, it's Wednesday, the 18th of June, 2025, and this is going to be a really, really big deal. So hopefully this will be a great showing, or it will be my downfall, but we're going to put it on the line for this one right now. 8 stories for this Wednesday. We'll give you some sort of details on how we put them in line for their order here, but we'll give you the full details on how they actually get a shot at the end of the headlines descriptions. I said we're going to talk about Iran and Israel, and we are. The bipartisan coalition is moving to curb Trump's role in the Israel-Iran conflict. As this thing is going larger and larger, 6 days in the actual conflict, we're not going deep in detail into the actual conflict, except for what's talking about in this article here. You know the gist of it. Israel is currently bombing Iran to keep them from getting that nuclear capability. Iran is bombing them back, and right now we're on the sidelines trying to figure out what to do. President Trump initially was like, we're not part of this, and I was like, well, we can take this over if we want to because of the bluster that is him. Here's the thing. There are many hawkish people who want to take out Iran because they want to, and there are many people who think we don't need to blow this thing up literally and figuratively right now. There's a bipartisan group of lawmakers in the House. It is grouped by Republican Thomas Massey and Democrat Ro Khanna, and they are coming up with a resolution that will require President Donald Trump to obtain Congress approval before involving U.S. forces in the Israeli-Iran conflict. Senator Tim Kaine has also filed a companion bill in the Senate. They argue the Constitution grants only Congress power to declare war, because it does. Only Congress can declare war. Now, various resolutions in the past and various statutes that are out there to enter conflicts allow us, U.S., to join in these festivities when we need to. That's how we had all these things going on in Iraq, in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, during Freedom, War on Terrorism. All those things happened without formal declarations of war because there was no warring nation to go after. We were going after terrorist states that sort of live inside of things. This measure Spanning the political spectrum, but Massey has a historic history of opposing any foreign military engagements. Kana and allies such as AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Bernie Sanders support reclaiming congressional authority here. It's from both sides. Massey doesn't want to be in the fight, and the Democrats, they just want to reign in the terror that is the reign of terror that is Donald Trump. Even some conservative voices like Marjorie Taylor Greene are expressing conditional support for emphasizing the cautions. Yes, we love Israel. No, we don't want to start World War III ourselves. President Trump has voiced strong support for Israel's strikes and demanded unconditional surrender from Iran. But the problem is how you're exactly going to actually levy that and push that forward. Holding the cards is one thing. Playing the cards is something else. Remember, he left the G7 summit early and didn't deal with some things the G7 want to deal with, like, Russia and Ukraine, because of what's going on specifically in Iran and Israel. And he wanted to be at his desk to talk to his folks and see what's going on. If you can read the tea leaves, you have ideas of where we're posturing to, but you don't really know what's happening. No one knows what's happening. No one knows exactly what's in the mind of Donald Trump or the folks in the Pentagon or on the Hill who are working these things out until a button is pressed, an order is given, and sometimes lights light up. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, along with some GOP senators, have dismissed the measure as premature and unnecessary. They argue the legislative leaders shouldn't act ahead of actual crises. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats like Kaine and Sanders can be pushing for formal Congress oversight before a military move. Remember, a lot of this is based on the fact that overstepping by many presidents over many years has led Congress to be kind of a weak link in the three stool that we have in our government. And congressmen and women want to take that link and make it not so weak. Supporters believe that the bill could reach the House floor thanks to a narrow GOP majority actually wanting this to happen, backed by the Democrats who want this to happen. But its fate in the Senate remains uncertain. Analysts say the effort reflects deeper concerns about unchecked presidential war powers and marks a central test of legislative checks and balances among rising global tensions. Civics lessons: 3 parts to the government: judicial, legislative, and executive. What they do, what their purpose is, and why they have checks on each other and balances. When the checks and balances are out of order, they have been for a while with many presidents, things like these that may happen, I say may happen. Now, that's the bulk of what we're going to do to cover the actual conflict, because right now, so many things are going on. It's really a moment-by-moment issue where we're just seeing where things are going. It's because nobody knows. We don't expect by the time we wrap up this broadcast, we'll be in full war time, but we're going to back away from that one. Covering today, the rest of the 7 stories are other stories that get missed in the mix of things. If you watch news programming in various spaces like I do, or listen to the radio or do hits here or there, they'll drop these things in lines for things that you may miss. These are going to be 7 other stories as part of the things you might not have heard that will give you more detail that you will now have heard. Senator Bob Menendez, the former senator, I should say, is starting his 11-year prison sentence for bribery yesterday. The former U.S. senator reported to federal corrections facility in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. The 71-year-old will serve an 11-year sentence that was likely to be a minimum security camp because he's 71 years old, and what he did was bribery. He didn't murder anybody, in theory. So the outcome was delayed by several weeks so he could attend a family wedding. He had to deal with his wife's trial, I guess clean some stuff up, make sure all the gold bars were kind of for things like that. Because when you're 71 years old and a senator, things come kind of easy for you to begin your 11-year sentence for bribery. Once the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he was convicted in 2023, 16 counts, including bribery, acting as a foreign agent for Egypt, destruction of justice, and extortion. Prosecutors tied crimes to bribes like cash, gold bars, which you get from Costco, and luxury vehicles. Federal agents discovered about $480,000 in cash, 13 gold bars worth about $150,000, and a high-end convertible at Menendez's New Jersey home that tracked him back to the payments for the incentives that he used to push his actual influence. His co-conspirators were Egyptian-American Wal Hanna and real estate developer Fred Dables, and they are serving 8 and 7 years respectively. They didn't get all the lead-up time because they weren't senators. Menendez has pleaded not guilty, claiming prosecution are basically using political bias against him. He appealed multiple trial rulings and tried unsuccessfully to delay prison until his appeals finished. He also tried to run for office again as an independent, He did not get that run, so he's going to jail. A court recently declined his request for bail during the appeal process. So while he did stretch it quite a bit, at some point in time, everyone has to pay up. Everyone eventually has to pay up. He is among a few U.S. senators ever imprisoned, paralleling the 1980s conviction of Senator Harrison Williams. Legal experts suggest Menendez's appeal may reach the Supreme Court. Key issues around the trial procedure and constitutional protections. Meanwhile, his resignation marked the end of a long political career and sparked a renewed conversation about corruption in high office. Quick hydration break, because we need it to actually give a little separation for this next story, as we've been dealing very heavily with Sean Diddy Combs. We have this story coming out that actually rebukes both sides rebuking, if you will. Diddy trial judge slams lawyers after sealed details leak to the press. All the lawyers on all the sides doing all the things and all the leaking. During Diddy's federal trial for sex trafficking and racketeering, Judge Arun Subramanian sharply rebuked both prosecution and defense teams. Details from sealed, closed-door sessions have leaked to the media because we know these things, not just the panda-looking court reporter pictures, but details of what's going on inside that are basically said in private, in chambers, not inside of testimony, that we should know. He warned that further leaks could result in civil or criminal contempt charges for either side's lawyers. Subramanian emphasized that lead attorneys Maret Comey and Mark Agafino are personally responsible for any violations by their teams. He ordered device inspections and sworn testimony, making it clear courtroom must stay fully focused on the evidence and not press reports. Don't play up to the media, play to the judge, play to the jury, play to the defendant if you want to. Don't play out to the media trying to get some support out here so that we're calling for something. We, the people out here watching it, are calling for something that isn't existing. Prosecutors expect to close their case by the end of the week, but Diddy's defense slated to begin next week. The defense actually says they're not going to take very long in the defense, so it shouldn't take long to roam through this thing. And Diddy's not going to hit the stand, most likely, because that would be a train wreck going forward. But judge also dismissed a juror recently for credibility issues. Basically, he said he lived in New York, but he actually lived in New Jersey and was commuting back and forth. From that, he has popped out a new jury. Well, there's alternate jurors that are sitting there anyway. A new one will be plucked as the official juror pretty soon. The leak drew attention to trial security with questions of transparency and control over sensitive territory and testimony in this case, especially involving the anonymous rapper and various members who are going by pseudonyms that work for Mr. Combs. Central to the case, the judge reinforced the public access must undermine its fair trial principles. Basically, telling the people what's happening does not add to the trial. So let's not tell people what's happening. That's going to screw up the trial. Further leaks could lead to formal investigations of legal teams, either or, and the judge's stern tone signals that the courtroom discipline is going to be paramount going forward. Jury deliberation is around the corner very soon. All parties are on notice to maintain strict confidentiality to keep this thing under wraps. Update on R. Kelly. And this seems sort of coincidental or ironic, if you will. But R. Kelly has an update in prison, where his lawyers say that his medications that he was given caused a dangerous overdose for him in jail. Singer R. Kelly was rushed from a federal prison in Butner, North Carolina, to Duke University Hospital on June 13th. His lawyers say he collapsed in solitary confinement by himself after being given a large dose of medication by prison staff. Medical staff found blood clots in his legs and lungs and recommended surgery for Mr. Kelly. In the federal court filing, Mr. Kelly's attorney, Bribery, has claims of schadenfreude, basically saying the overdose was not an accident. He alleges that the prison staff is deliberately administering drug overdoses to harm him, and the prison officials have arranged for an Aryan Brotherhood inmate to try to kill Kelly. So, yes, someone inside the prison is trying to take out R. Kelly, and it looks like it's not just the prisoners, but the prison guards themselves. Despite medical orders to keep him hospitalized and operate on the blood clots, Kelly says he was removed from the hospital by armed officers and returned to solitary confinement fairly soon after the diagnosis. The legal filing stresses he was denied life-saving treatment. Prosecutors call Kelly's claims fanciful conspiracy and argue that he is a manipulator, refusing to accept his responsibility. The Bureau of Prisons declined to comment, citing privacy rules. Kelly's team is asking for temporary home confinement so that he can rest up, get some surgery, and not be dealing with some other things that are going on in prison. And they're appealing to President Trump for a pardon, because everyone is. Threats and denied care are basically the role that they're asking for. We'll see if it gets heard. A judge is scheduled to hear the request on June 20th. Meanwhile, the court must decide if Vince has the authority to mandate his release at all. Those are 4 stories done. We'll have 4 more stories to go. We say 8 stories on Tuesday through Friday for this show, every weekday morning at 5:30 a.m. live. On Monday, we give you 10 stories because we have the full weekend to choose from. That's 3 full days, 3 times the stories. You only get 2 extra stories in the feed because you don't have so much time to give. But what we ask for at this time, we do a pause this part every single time in the actual broadcast to ask for your likes, ask you to share, ask you to subscribe to the video you're watching here and the channel you're watching it on here, and to help out other folks. So the like part tells me that I'm providing for you fairly good news content, fairly good information, fairly good commentary, and when I'm not over sipping on tea to help the nerves in my swallowing air, giving you a good enough show and giving you things that are going to help you be engaged in the news better. We talked about the big story, Iran and Israel and the conflict. We talked about some minor stories in the mix, including Ukraine and Russia. And we talked about things that are really off the beaten path, including Bob Menendez. We have some very other stories that are really off the beaten path, including the return of Joey Chestnut, because I'm just obsessed with that one. If you like the stories we're giving you, like the video you're watching here. It tells the algorithm I'm doing good, show it to more people, get more people involved. It also shows me I'm doing good, do more like this, get more stuff like this in. Share it with like-minded people who would enjoy this type of news and coverage. Or the caveat is, if you're a hater, which we don't necessarily hate, but we understand, and you're just watching it for someone to ridicule and make fun of, share it with people who do that, because guess what? Numbers matter. Sometimes it's about the clicks. If you want to see more of us directly in your feeds, whether with the live updates or when we pop up, when you check us on us, subscribe as well. We're not going to the non-serious yet. One more thing that got lost in the mix of stories that were pretty important is this one on Purdue Pharma reaching a $7.4 billion settlement with states over opioid cases. You may have heard about the states going on a bigger opioid case to kind of deal with Purdue Pharma, essentially knowing it was what it was doing. It was getting people addicted to its opioid drugs and doing it on purpose to make lots and lots of money. They've agreed to this settlement, about $7.4 billion, with 26 states in Washington, D.C. over its role in the opioid case. They will dissolve the company officially, direct its assets to fight the epidemic of opioids. This was going to get the Sacklers, get the Sacklers off the hook and just kind of sit back and relax. This suit here basically unravels everything so they don't get off scot-free. The money will fund addiction treatment, prevention, and recovery efforts nationwide. Unlike the earlier version, the settlement does not grant immunity to the Sackler family who own Purdue Pharma. It breaks up the company, and they still have a chance. All states have a chance to pursue lawsuits against individual Sackler members. They can be sued and go to jail or have their own money taken from them. A major shift in accountability towards legal battles in these cases, with the agreement ending a legal fight that's been long, with thousands of lawsuits being filed. Purdue was accused of aggressively marketing the OxyContin while downplaying its risk, essentially how addictive it was, how bad it was on people, their lives, and the families dealing with it, and making lots of money in the process. Many states had opposed earlier settlements that protected Sacklers from further legal actions, which got it to this one here to get it out of Sackler protection. As part of the deal, Purdue Pharma will be closed totally, replaced by a new public benefit company. The new entity will produce opioid reversal medications like naloxone and fund treatment programs for many states across the nation. It profits, if it has any, will go directly towards combating addiction. Some families of overdose victims feel justice has finally been served. Others say the Sacklers should face criminal charges, which is why now they can be sued. Attorneys General across the nation called this a historic step, but acknowledged it can't undo the damage that was done. We're going to see whether the Oklahoma City Thunder can actually pull off the 6-game win against the Indiana Pacers. Of course, I said Pacers in 6, so the Pacers win is going to take 7. But we do have the hockey wrapped up as the Florida Panthers are now officially a dynasty. 3 straight appearances, 2 straight Stanley Cups, 5-1 win last night. They secured this second straight with the 5-1 win over the Edmonton Oilers, also repeat players at the Amerant Bank Arena in Game 6 last night. They are the first team since Tampa Bay Lightning to repeat the championship, so you got to give it to them. Sam Reinhart scored 4 goals in the clinching game, only the 6th player in NHL history to do so in a Stanley Cup. And it was the first 4-goal performance in a final since 1957, with 2 coming to empty nets. It was a contentious game, although there was a fight put up there. So there was a fight put up there, but basically the dynasty is there. This caps off near perfection postseason. Florida won 11 of its 12 playoff games. It was essentially a miracle to happen. It was a destiny type year, and it's there. Now, can they do it again for a 4th round? That we'll have to see. Let's give it up for Tom Cruise, Dolly Parton, Debbie Allen, and Wynn Thomas as they're getting Oscars, statuettes, real ones, sort of real ones, at the annual Governor's Awards. They are real Oscars, but they are honorary Oscars, overdue in a long case for many of these folks, without a real wins. At 62, Tom Cruise will get his first Oscar, and not for blowing things up or running through fields or being a lawyer or yelling at people. It's for his contributions to cinema, especially dedicated to theatrical experiences and performing his own stunts. Essentially, being Tom Cruise is what gets Tom Cruise the Oscar, not actually being Tom Cruise in a movie. Joining him in the Governor's Awards are Dolly Parton, Debbie Allen, and Wynn Thomas. Parton is 79 years old and receiving a Gene Hertzhold Humanitarian Award for dedicated to philanthropy. Both Allen and Thomas are being recognized for honorary Oscars for their groundbreaking work in choreography, acting, and producing design. So their work in the background is getting them an Oscar as well. Academy President Janet Yang praised the honorees. Allen's choreography has captivated generations. Cruise has elevated the action and cinema stunts for all of us. Parton embodies humanitarian spirit, that's a long word, and Thomas has brought compelling stories to life with visual design. All 4 received their Oscars at the Governor's Awards, set November 16th at the Ray Dolby Ballroom in Los Angeles. This annual event spotlights lifetime achievement and distinct from what's going on. It's also not televised. The later show is held in March, but this is something to give them the props for folks up front. They will be acknowledged at the TV show, but this is something ahead of time because this is something the Academy is not voting on. The Governor's Awards are already picked. They're ready to go. They will have their own ceremony to honor themselves and their history and their legacy and not have to deal with all the other shiny things at the actual Oscars Awards. This round of honorary awards highlights the Academy's efforts to honor both creative innovation and philanthropic leadership. With Cruise's long-awaited recognition, he's been doing this for a while, and he's finally getting a chance to get an award, even not for the acting. Parton's humanitarian work, plus 2 behind-the-scenes legends, it signals the broad celebration of diverse contributions to the film community. And finally, I know you've all been waiting for this one because you've been on the pins and needles after last year's Netflix debacle that was Chestnut versus Kawasaki, whatever. Joey Chestnut is coming back to the game, back to the real deal. The Nathan's hot dog 24/7. Let's redo that because we're going to do this for a clip. After last year's Netflix debacle, we're back to the big show, baby. Joey Chestnut is confirmed to be back for the 2025 4th of July hot dog contest, sponsored by Nathan's, that we all care about, and not a made-for-TV special, which did test the waters for live events, but did not do very well for the Mike Tyson event. That's a whole nother story. Champion eater Joey Jaws Chestnut is set to return to the iconic Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest to go for the gold belt, mustard belt, again on Coney Island, ending his 1-year absence. He confirmed this via social media on the 16th, calling the event a cherished tradition and a core part of his life. Chestnut was barred from 2024 contest because he signed on a sponsor with Impossible Foods, which clashed with the Nathan's brand rules enforced by Major League Eating. There is a Major League Eating. There are brand rules. There are sponsorship things. You can't go to bad sponsor. Like basically, Nathan's is a kosher hot dog that's real meat. Impossible Foods literally aren't meat. They're soy-ish. He clarified his endorsement never included plant-based hot dogs and affirmed his loyalty to Nathan's, but it got him banned for a year anyway. The 16-time champion holds the event record of 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes, set that back in 2021. He aims to reclaim the mustard belt with last year's champion Patrick Bertolilli only getting 58 hot dogs during Chestnut's absence. That's not too much of a obstacle to climb, considering Joey basically averages around 60 or so for the past couple of years. He's reportedly back in training, looking to break more records. His return adds drama to the July 4th festivities, especially as top competitors, including qualifiers like Jeffrey Esper, prepare to challenge him. Chestnut's return brings back star power to American tradition and underscores a mix of sport, pop culture, and brand conflict in competitive eating. Fans are eager to see if he can continue this conflict, keep doing this thing 4th of July, and we'll see if there's ever going to be an unbanning on Kobayashi. Chances are not, but did allow us for a Mave TV battle between the two big-time champions, big-time heads in the eating competition game. We shall see. We shall see. We shall see if this is the big year, if he'll be that 17-time belt holder after this season. So those were the 8 stories we produced for this Wednesday. For those of you who have not followed this thing for a while, we've been doing it in a couple iterations. It's got to be where it is, and we picked 8 stories to be as a legacy to the 8 things to talk about newsletter we used to have, but as a way to basically force me to basically pick what were the best, or the things best of the best. So 8 stories are picked, 10 on Monday because there's extra stories that we think that you are the most conversational, but you get the first pick at what's conversational. We post these headlines on social media, Facebook and X, to give you a chance all day long to give us the rundown for the next morning. It's that simple. So go to our feeds on Facebook, facebook.com/This Conversation Project, and x.com/th_conversation. And what you do, every 50 minutes, all day, all night, but thereabouts, we post various headlines from various places. We have many of them queued up ahead of time, so they may get the unfair advantage of not being really newsworthy by the time you see them, or you may have to go scroll down looking for something that really is in your bailiwick. These are 3 teasers that you see right there on the screen. That stories that are already in the feeds, ready to go within the next couple of minutes to hours or so that are there, plus whatever will become news all day long. Yes, we'll have updates on Israel and Iran. Yes, we'll probably have updates on what's going on, what's left of the G7, G6 minus the United States. Yes, we'll talk some Russia and Ukraine, I'm pretty sure, as all the news coverage will be focused on what are wartime things. But as other things slip through the cracks, other things kind of pop in there, and yes, we do have to deal with more in the way of that guy Diddy going forward. These are some stories that are lined up, ready to go. Some are more fun than others. Some are just things that you are more interesting that you really should know about because they get washed out with other news, including marijuana use dramatically increasing risk of dying from heart attacks and stroke coming from a large study. Even though marijuana has now become more amenable, more equitable, more available, it does have some issues that were never really seen before, possibly because so many people are doing it now. Also, 14 Pepsi and Mountain Dew flavors are being discontinued, and they're being quietly discontinued, but because they have so many flavors, especially for Mountain Dew, it's one of those things you go reach on the shelves like, hey, I thought Major Melon was still out there. It's gone, along with 13 other flavors. And we probably won't get to this, but Trump is going to sign an extended order, executive order that's going to extend 90 more days for TikTok. We had the story yesterday about the fact that TikTok's supposed to expire tomorrow. Sometime between now and tomorrow, he will sign this executive order for another 90 days for TikTok to find a buyer, since they haven't spent very much of the time in the last 5 months trying to find a buyer. I suspect in 90 days, we'll be signing another order. Depending on your engagement, how well you engage in the stories, you click like, you click share, you respond to it, you actually reply to it. It gives a score an engagement of how many times people engage with a story. The higher the engagement is, the better chance you have of talking about it. So we'll get about 30 stories in the span of a day for today. They'll go from midnight hours ago to about 3 a.m. tomorrow when we pull the stories down. 30 stories in that span of time. We'll take the top half, we'll split it there. Then we'll see what stories have the more conversational, which ones have the more engagement. There's something overnight and breaking that it's overtaking everything. You'll probably take a slot. If it's something that we put in fairly late, that is kind of important, and it turns into something overnight breaking, it probably may swap in a spot. But this is all based on when we get a chance to post the stories and when you engage in it. So we ask you, when you're checking your feeds a couple times a day, scroll through our page and see what's there, and see if there's something there that you want to engage in that we should talk about. And of course, email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com to complain about stories that were missed or stories you think that we're putting too much focus on, because a lot of these things have my own bias, things I want to talk about. But a lot of these things are based on the bias you have. If Taylor Swift's in there, you guys will jump on it. If Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is in there, as terrible people as they may seem to be, you guys are there. If it's an OF story, oh, trust me, you guys are there. It's there. And cute puppy stories always make the cut, apparently. Now, how do we keep this thing going? This is a labor of love and a labor of labor. So we do have sponsors, do have ways to make things work out. We do have ads put on our YouTube channel and ads put on our TikToks to help us get some cash influx here. But we do ask you for help. We have our sponsors page at thisisconversationprod.com. So that's sponsors, which lists many sponsors. We have our partnerships page. We'll talk about that in a minute, where you can join in as a paid partner and give us a monthly donation to help us keep things going, or just a one-time donation as well. And we have spotlight sponsors such as Ground News. Ground News also helps us get work done, because Ground News is one of the best ways to see the bias in the news that you're getting and get your own bias out of it, if you will. You can see where your news comes from. Literally, if you see a story out there and say, hey, this seems a little wacky, you can go back to Ground News and figure out where the source is, why they may lean certain ways, and what other people, what other sources are giving you. They cover unbiased perspective for local, national, and global news stories. Literally, you have a story, you type it in there, and you want to see more about it, they'll give you a side-by-side comparison of what other outlets are showing you and give you details on what the outlets are, who owns them, what they basically cover, who is there. So you can see if something has a more conservative or a more liberal bent, or more bias bent in many cases, how the stories are covered. If you watch the coverage of the parade from last weekend, the 250th anniversary of the Army Parade, that was also coincided with Donald Trump's birthday, you may have seen different people covering it different ways, especially as opposed to the No Kings protest that happened on the same day. Your particular flavor of content may have painted it a certain way than others have, and you can see what all sides are saying, and you can take whatever side you want to, and they'll paint. And in some cases where some stories are being literally kept away from you, there's a blind spot feature where Ground News will show you stories that certain political standpoints don't want you to see, or show you stories that certain political standpoints want you to see more of, because they think it hurts the other side. You can see a more engaging version of things out there that aren't being shown to you, or being shown to you at a more engaging level because they think it makes them look bad. Cut through the noise, download Ground News for your phone, or watch it on your tablet, watch it on your browser, I'm trying to say, and get behind the headlines and think beyond the bias. Use our affiliate link. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news. It's very important to use that link. This is an affiliate link. We get a small commission for you joining using that link. Now, what you get by using our link as a way for us saying thanks is 40% off their plans, including their Advantage plan, which is the full deal plan for all their news coverage out there. News coverage takes up resources, blood and treasure. Your time is the blood, and your resources, your money, is the treasure. And Ground News does the best job. It was created by scientists to kind of go through and really aggregate things in a different manner, to not just so much get you more of the news, but get you more behind the news stories going forward. So check it out. Use our link. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news, and get in for the best news, or technically all the news. You choose which news is the best out of all the news you get to choose from. It's drinking from a fire hose in the beginning, but once you get the gist of what other people are saying, you can really understand how things are working in the actual processes. The Conversation Project lives online at our website. This is theconversationproject.com. All things Conversation Project-ish are there. Simple. We have the replays of the videos. We have a clipping that is the newsletter with the links to the replays of the video. So you can just read the stories and get the quick headlines. It goes to the full links and details. You can also click on links that will take you to various locations that might not be this long form. It might be our TikTok hot takes, which are extremely popular. It might be our email newsletter, which comes into your inbox automatically. It might be the podcast, the audio podcast that you can just get via your sound. You can also get the audio podcast via a YouTube music, because it's technically the video that's a podcast. It's a whole lot of thing. It's on Spotify, all places you're looking for. If you just want to get the audio so you can listen to it in your car driving in, or you can do whatever or doing your workout so you're not focused on me, you can do that as well. All that is available there. Now, the full lineup of things to do, the calls to action, are found at the website, where you can, of course, check out the partners page and see if you want to help us out partner-wise. Buy something from our sponsors, that helps as well. See past episodes and kind of get our origin story. See how we got to be where we're going to be. Check it out, of course, at the website. This is conversationproject.com. Comments, concerns, questions, all those can be handled with us in conversation via email, the conversation inbox, gmail.com. And one more time, with feeling this time, facebook.com/this is conversation project and x.com/th_conversation. On those feeds, you're still checking X, you're still checking Facebook. We're on Blue Sky as well. It doesn't give us good stats, so we're not really emphasizing it, but we're getting to know it, if you will. See what stories out there that are engaging, worthy of chatting up, worthy of bringing back up in the digest that is this. Although it is not me doing a news anchor deal, it is me having a conversation with you about conversational stories and the hot takes and the videos and things going forward will help us go as well. Now, the very big ask from you for this Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. So it's a hard thing to really get into, and it's really kind of really detailed, but this project is going fairly well as a project. The effort we're putting into it is great. The growth we're getting from the work is awesome. We're seeing things going, and I'm getting lots of comments. Some of them are trolly because it is YouTube and the internet. I'm getting comments on how some of the stories you got there, people are saying, thank you for dropping this in there because I missed this, or thank you for talking about this and sharing light on this one. And some stories that literally get no light of day are getting some light of day and some conversation, some actual constructive conversation, not just sniping back and forth on things like that. But it's an effort that is seeming to be more of a losing effort these days. There are a lot of things going on, and some people, get into the, oh, you're doing this story thing again. But it's just what it is. This is a project that's a long gestating, long suffering, long transitioning, long pivoting project that is supposed to be able to take care of itself, and hopefully one day take care of me. It was supposed to help me join forces with other podcasters, other YouTubers, other people out there talking these issues so we can have greater conversations and help me feel sane on those issues and let you join in the process. It's not doing that. It's supposed to essentially, tick off enough advertising money and sponsor money to pay for itself and keep it going. It's not doing that. It's supposed to be the thing that keeps me sane and keeps me from going nuts, because when I produce this, the reason why I do this whole live thing at 5:30 in the morning, getting up at 3 in the morning to do this, is because it's the only time no one can not interrupt me with other work. Unfortunately, that's becoming less true. The only thing it really does stick around with is because I cannot not wake up at 3 in the morning. It gives me something officially to focus on and do on. And it does give me usually a big win to get things going forward, because some days are not a lot of wins. I'm not exactly in the sunshine of life right now. More of a Charlie Brown kicking lots and lots of footballs every single day. So I need a little bit of extra love and attention from you today. That's why I put it on all the formats, all the things going out there, so that someone who new may see this come forward. It's also on Twitch, which it's not really defined very well. I do see some people doing commentary on Twitch, but it is normally just commentary on people watching other people's videos. So we'll have to learn some Twitch going there. But whatever format you're watching on, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, give me a love, give me whatever it works on. Give me something to show that this effort was not in vain. And this is not the normal like, share, and subscribe. This is just something for today, because this is going to be on some platforms that I'm normally not on very often. I used to do a Friday edition or Monday edition where I broadcast a lot more platforms, and then we get people to come to the main one. Not the best salesman in the world, and I guess the product probably, we've had some iterations, some changes. So there's that. So without going too deep into the sad crying part, this is the sad crying part. I need a little love, need a little affection. I'm not asking for donations. I'm not asking for all those things. I just need some extra likes, need some comments, need some feedback. I need some people to tell me if this thing worked out for you in its manner. If you want to go deeper, more meta, I need you to look at each particular story and tell me if the stories themselves worked out well. You may have noticed, because it was pretty obvious, when we did Joey Chestnut, we stopped. We did a semi-pause. We restarted again because we're going to cut that one up and use that for engagement and hot takes. And when I mess up a story, because this is live, I'm doing it live, we back it up and fix it. We also have a backup recording on this machine here and a backup audio on this machine here that allow me to produce the podcast, the audio version, and the videos much clearer. Because I'm seeing some little internet bar static for the video here. So maybe today was a bad internet day, and it'll be some glitching going forward with this video. It also helps me click up with some of the hot takes, because it does pull the TikTok versions, the shorts version as well. A lot of inside baseball for the 35 people who says they're still watching, although I'm sure most of them are bots from the X. Thank you, bots. Love you, bots, on that end. I need a little love and attention, a little extra love and attention today, because I need to know that what we're doing is worth it. There are many other projects out there. This one, oddly enough, is the most lucrative of what it is, and it's not taking care of itself the way it needs to. So there's other projects out there that we can possibly jump on and move resources to, whatnot, to make them work, that are maybe easier to produce, that may catch on a little better, maybe not. Maybe we need to back off of those, put a little more extra into this one. Maybe I need to give up the conversation project altogether. Maybe More Better Media needs to be dissolved. It's something that's been in the works for a while. The odd part about that is every time I'm at should I dissolve this, something new happens to make it seem like I'm progressing, doing more. So it's like, oh, let's give it more shot. Maybe this is the time to get rid of it and go move on to something else and be more quiet. Maybe this is the year I write the manifesto, move to the woods, and am not seeing my people. It could be. But I need some support. Need some help. Hate to say I need some love. I need some comments. Give me some comments on what we're doing. Good, bad, and different. If you think I suck, say it. Just don't say it in a troll manner, because I'll assume it's a troll and have to kind of weigh it that way. But give the comments, give the feedback. I think today was a fairly good engagement day. I was able to hold back most of the hiccups, most of the air breathing on those ends. So with that, Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. I got the date and date right on both of those slides as well. Big day in the news with a lot going on. More important than this thing with Israel and Iran and Ukraine and Russia and Sean Diddy Combs and tariffs and loss of jobs and Deutsche and things like that. So there's a lot of things going on in your world, but hopefully I was able to give you 20 minutes that got you more engaged and more knowledge on some things that may got missed with those big things being overly covered. As I'm live at 6:15 a.m. for this morning, I bid you adieu. Whenever it is you actually get to be bid adieu. Love you all. Mean it. Thank you, my beautiful wife, Christina McKay, for getting me this cough button, which I've now got installed so I can use that more often. Thank you, all of you guys, for sticking around this long, or whenever you stuck around. If you're not hearing this, thank you for popping in, getting me 10 seconds. So hopefully I got a view. Missed the cough button there. Love you. Mean it. Give me some feedback. We should be back here tomorrow.